Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to For All Mankind by Story Archives. I'm your host, Mario Busto, alongside.
The other host, Zachary Newton. Welcome back.
We're back with what most certainly will be the last episode of 2023, which is going to be a big one. It's going to be a doubleheader. We're doing For All Mankind, Season 4, Episode 7 and Episode 8. And we're going to be covering everything that occurred from a high level there, diving into the best parts as the season is heating up. And we're just trying to keep up because it's the holiday seasons and we have the doubleheaders kind of hitting us across the head. So we're doing a doubleheader episode on For All Mankind now. And we're going to be doing a Monarch Legacy of Monsters doubleheader probably next Wednesday. And then back on track after that, more than likely.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, though. This season's shaping up to be, I think, one of my favorite, at least going on right now. Like this show's definitely taken the cake for me. I like it a lot more than I'm liking Monarch. Though I do enjoy Monarch still. Don't get me wrong. But this one's really solid. Like this season has brought this show back around for me. I was not digging the last season too much, but we're there. Like I'd be excited, very excited if we continue this into a fifth, sixth season.
Yeah, it's one of those where it's kind of interesting, right? Like For All Mankind is kind of going where no show has gone before, whereas, well, maybe not no show has gone before, but there's just these twists and turns that you just don't see coming. And the big one here in episode 7, titled Crossing the Line, is where the strike's over. Dev has had his badass businessman moment where he, kind of Old Testament Gideon style, like pours his sugar on the ground and is really secretly selecting who are going to be his core team members. And single-handedly ends the strike and then approaches Ed for a crazy opportunity to steal Goldilocks, to steal the asteroid, and instead of it going back to the orbit of Earth, keep it in the Mars orbit in order for the Mars or the Martians to, I guess, lucratively take the most of this profit and build a new society over here.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they're gonna do with the asteroid once they actually get it, assuming they get it, right? Like, I mean, that's.
I'm rooting for them to get it.
Yeah,
I'm rooting for them.
Yeah, I mean, if I were voting which team I'm on, I'm definitely on Dev's team here, trying to steal that asteroid. That'd be pretty epic. Though I don't know how we're gonna get around the issues of mining the asteroid, right? Because I feel like a lot of what we found out in the previous episode 6, is that there's a lot of equipment that needs to be built and sent over to Mars just to mine it. Now I know part of that was so that they could bring it back to Earth, right? Like mine it and then bring the materials back to Earth that they did mine. But I don't think Mars is set up to actually mine that asteroid and process whatever's there. Like you're going to have to construct things, and that's. I mean, look, if anybody could do it, it would be Dev, because he's got the resources on Earth and could still pay and probably foot the bill to, build some of those ships and bring it over to Mars so they could finish mining it. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure how they're going to actually achieve that just yet.
I think the big thing there is not so much how they're going to achieve it. It's more that if their plan succeeds, the asteroid is permanently in Mars orbit. Like it cannot be taken out of its orbit. Yeah. So the plan is really just to make themselves necessary, right? It's pretty much like, you guys got to go through us now. You have to do business with us now. You can't just take it. Because once the asteroid's over there, Helios doesn't really have any leverage. Dev has no leverage. And then the majority of the good of this asteroid is not going to go to Mars, right? So now he can ultimately create like this freaking golden society over in Mars if he has Goldilocks. I did not mean to do the play on words there, but you can see why he would want to steal this thing. And it's funny because we've all kind of, like, Ed's going off the rails here, man. I mean, in episode 7 and 8, like after the strike goes bad, I literally wrote like, Ed has no purpose now. Like Danielle has pretty much excommunicated him, excommunicado on the ship, right? And then you have Dev, and the strike pretty much takes him out of that position as like rebel rouser. Yeah. And then Dev comes out with like perhaps the most badass ending of any For All Mankind episode with like the DMX outro,
Want to
which is
steal an
just
asteroid with me?
which immediately turned everybody, even you, who was kind of getting annoyed with Ed in
Yep.
previous episodes, and immediately you turned into like the gang. You turned into like, all right, let's steal this asteroid. Like, F
Yeah,
it,
man.
I'm
This
with
is
Ed.
this is Ed. This is the Ed I want. This is Ed coming back, man. He's got a purpose.
Even though in reality, in real life, we'd all be rooting for Danielle more than likely, simply because they're literally stealing the asteroid. But whatever, I guess there's no rules here, right?
Yeah, I don't. I mean, there's clearly some rules because I mean they had to send Ed's little girlfriend back to Earth for her crimes of accidentally killing somebody. So like there are some rules, and I still feel like the politics of Earth plays out on Mars here. So not. I mean, it's a lot more difficult to enforce them. That's for sure. But they still exist.
Don't you think Ed is probably just getting to the point where Dev reads him clearly? He says, Ed, me and you are the same. We don't want to go back to Earth. It's clear you don't want to go back to Earth. I don't want to go back to Earth, right? And I think Ed is also, although he's a rebel, he's always kind of played by the rules, right? Like this higher order, right?
Yeah.
And what's kind of happened this season is I think he's tired of kowtowing. Is that the word? Kowtowing?
I think it is.
It's kowtowing. Kowtowing to pretty much people who are not looking out for what he wants, right? And so earlier in the season, they take his girl, right? Now he had like a purpose with the strike, so he was siding with the workers, right?
Yeah.
And then now he wants to stay on Mars. So at this point, he's kind of like, forget the military, forget what I'm doing. I know I got Dev who's going to get my back, right? Yeah, I'm always going to have a job at Helios probably. I'm going to just go with Dev here, and I'm going to steal this asteroid. I'm going to do what the hell I want to do because everybody back at Earth is doing what's good for Earth. Nobody's doing what's good for us up here.
Yeah.
So F it. Let's just like break the rules and take the asteroid.
I'm very curious to see what rift we may end up seeing between Helios and every country on Earth.
I'm Team Helios now, man. I'm Team Helios.
I mean, look, I'm looking forward to it too. Like, I'm tired of the American, Russian, Korean
bullshit,
politics
just the
going
bullshit.
on. Like, it's
like
such crap. Like,
the geopolitical
I mean, look, it's entertaining.
bullshit.
It's entertaining, but like, I'm totally on Helios' side here. I think it's really interesting to kind of see what the business is gonna do.
Yeah.
And those countries don't want to see Mars prosper. They want to use Mars to make Earth prosper more. Like, there isn't gonna be any real community on Mars if I think anybody on Earth and anybody in government has any say in this. Like, they're not pushing the boundaries. They're not trying to advance the civilization on Mars. And that's what Dev wants to do. And that's what I find very intriguing about his position. And that's why I'm rooting for him.
Well, we do have a kind of Chekhov's gun situation here because they did tell us that not only does the KGB have assets in Happy Valley, but so does the CIA.
Yeah.
So if Dev does pull this off, he essentially becomes public enemy number one to every country in the M7 alliance, right?
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what would occur if Dev becomes this sort of, because it seems like he just wants to be kind of Lord of Mars, right?
Yeah.
That seems to be Dev's end goal here. But I gotta say, he's exponentially more interesting with these character twists this season of learning more about his relationship with his father and his mother, and then not wanting to go back to Earth. Like, Dev has become,
there's depth to him.
Yes, there's a depth that, like, he's no longer that shallow character of previous seasons. And I think For All Mankind really does, in a short period of time, they do things really well. They do character development in like small bursts in singular scenes incredibly well. And Dev this season, the way they developed him was, you start with him on the beach looking up at the stars, right? He's looking kind of like hopeless, right? You got this chick who comes up to him very like anti-establishment, like, oh, who says you own this beach? Whatever. That whole thing. Then he goes and tells his mom off, pretty much. Says like, you left me and dad, right? So he has no earthly attachments anymore, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't feel connected to, I don't know what it was. It was like some Kenyan, I think it was like African or something, like some African community center that his mother was like volunteering at. So he felt no attachment to that community. Everybody that was in his company that he was like building towards kind of betrayed him and backstabbed him, right? He bridges that gap and makes peace with Kelly Baldwin, right? In a weird way, he's kind of like an uncle to Alex, like some kind of like, you know what I mean? Like, not related, but in the same way, kind of like an uncle to the kid.
Yeah.
Right? In a way that he's seeing kind of a redemption of a mother through Kelly, who's bringing her kid with her to Mars. So he's very much at a point where he's tired of the BS. He's tired of the fake people. He's tired of the people who are sacrificing morals for the bottom dollar, which is kind of rich considering I'm sure he had to do that to become a billionaire at some point, where he was at one point wanting to become a billionaire, right? So as he's doing that kind of line of sugar, telling everybody, hey, I'm going to pay you up to $1 million if you cross this line. You're going to make like 4 times what you're earning now.
Quadruple bonus. Like,
yeah.
What?
Like almost everybody's saying yes to that, but it's like that Gideon situation, right? Where there's 300. We can't have more than 300 soldiers because then you'll start to brag about, that maybe you got the victory, and then we're going to be very specific about how these people are drinking water, So he pretty much filters out everybody who wasn't down to stick to the cause, stick to the striking cause. So I have a feeling now his sort of Oval Office is going to be, or his cabinet is going to be Ed, Kelly Baldwin, even though her allegiance is unclear at this point which side she's going to go on. I'm sure she's not going to be too happy hearing that her father is using her son as a robbing accomplice here, sending him through air vents to go get discriminators.
I was so nervous in that scene too,
dude. The thing is that the storyline is so interesting, right? And then if Alex gets caught, it all goes to crap, right? Like the whole gig is up, the whole jig is up, or whatever. Sam is also becoming a more integral part of this resistance now too.
Mm-hmm.
And then the randos that you have there that are also part of the thing. There's like this random, there's a couple different strikers. Like there's like a Spanish dude who's pretty cool, but I don't even know that guy's name. He's just been like in every scene as like the most trusted strike accomplice, right?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with his name either. I only know the core characters here, but
yeah. Well, I'm assuming the way this show goes, he'll eventually become way more interesting too, because just speaking of a different character that comes up in episode 8, we see Sergey, who we haven't seen in a long time, and they establish his character so well. His kind of routine is Walter White-esque routine, right?
Yeah.
He's teaching for a bunch of no good high schoolers who aren't interested in the fact that this guy's literally the former head of like the Soviet astronaut program, which I'm sure they don't know. He's sick of it. He finds out Margo's back, and then he just dips on his life.
He finds out Margo's alive.
Yeah, alive, yes.
Yeah.
And then he goes, and in just a very short period of time, maybe less than 5 minutes, you've established Sergey, you have an attachment to him, and he's deciding to fight for some happiness in life, right? Because you can tell he's like still in love with Margo.
Yeah. Well, I was happy to see Sergey in this. I was hoping that we would get to see some sort of reunion from them, because, I mean, it felt odd to just like break that off and like never go back to that whole relationship. So I'm happy that we got to see something occur, but we found out some interesting bit of information in that very brief conversation that the now the head of Roscosmos is or was Sergey's KGB handler.
Irina,
she's the one that basically had him go to the US and had him try and steal all these plans and do all this crazy stuff. So I don't think Margo is very safe, though I never really thought she was safe. It just adds like a whole nother level to this that I didn't expect.
I don't know because I wasn't shocked to find out that bit of information that Irina was my handler. I'm like, they're all KGB, man. Like they're all like, you could tell she's KGB, right? You could have told that from before, like with the whole situation on the park bench.
Oh yeah.
Like what is Margo expecting? Even though she's like, they establish a scene where she's very much getting into the rhythm of being a Russian, and they're saying good morning to her and whatever. What happens if she doesn't go back to Russia? She's not going to be allowed to be undetained in the States.
No.
And then if they don't fail to secure Goldilocks, then she's truly done for. Because that would be the biggest failure for everybody, for all of the M7 Alliance, which I'm rooting for. I'm rooting for that to just completely, like for Dev able to secure that.
Yeah. I want to see Dev secure it. I don't know where Margo's going to go from here, honestly. Like, I feel like she's exiled from everywhere, really. Like, she's not wanted in Russia, or at least won't be, especially if Dev takes the asteroid. And nobody wants her in the US.
Mm-mm.
Where's she gonna go? Like, what is she gonna do? I feel like she's gonna have to go hide in a rock somewhere.
I have no idea what happens with Margo. I will say, and we haven't really mentioned this, with the whole stealing Goldilocks storyline, we go back to the emailer, and I'm blanking on his name at the moment. Was it Maurice? But maybe we can
I
dig
think
it
it
up
was
later.
Maurice.
I'm not sure if it was or
The
not.
recent email, right?
No, it was from the beginning of the season where he was talking about For All Mankind becoming Star Trek or The Expanse. Like, I'm always a big proponent that a show shouldn't be around for a super long period of time. But if they do something here where Mars now gets this renaissance and then we skip forward in season 5 to a much more advanced Mars, Happy Valley, right?
Mm-hmm.
I could see different storylines jutting out from that and new characters and things like that, and the show existing beyond Joel Kinnaman's character, Ed, So
Yeah.
I feel like For All Mankind could be like a 20 season show. Like it could just keep on going and going and going and projecting what civilization and mankind can achieve in through space exploration. And then who knows, the last episode of the entire series is maybe like a blip on the radar that says like, hey, we're getting a strange reading outside the galaxy. What is that? And then it's like, just, they never say it's aliens. They never show the life form, but it's kind of
But
like the what if.
Yeah.
And then if 100 years from now aliens do exist, they green light For All Mankind, and then we do another 20 seasons, and it literally becomes Star Trek or Expanse.
Yeah. I mean, it would be. I feel like you could totally do it. Honestly, like you could carry the show on forever. I mean, there's no real end point. I mean, like we're just continually moving more into like science fiction here, as we progress in time. We could end up many thousands of years in the future and have some sort of like foundation thing going on. Now, I don't think that's actually going to happen, but you could carry it on. You could have those really big time jumps, time skips. I mean, we already have some, 4 years, 8 years, things like that between some of these seasons. Like it's possible. And we're going to have to move on from Ed's character. If this goes into a season 5, which I cannot see them ending this season or ending the show with 2 more episodes left. I don't know how we could do that.
No.
And feel okay with it. So I feel like the stories that I continue on, but we're moving past Ed's character. Like I can't see him being alive in the next season.
No, I agree. I do think they need to introduce a new cast of young characters that we grow attached to. I don't know who's gonna take his place.
Kelly.
Could it be? Yeah, but I don't think there's that. I don't have that same attachment to Kelly as I do to Ed and to Danielle and to and to those. I think it has to be someone else.
Maybe
just
maybe it'll be Dev.
we've never seen.
I don't know.
I think it'll definitely be Dev. I think it'll be Miles has taken a turn into the dark. I mean, does he come back to the character we liked at the beginning of the season eventually, or does he continue to become consumed by greed? I would say the latter is more the direction I see his character heading in. But he's an interesting character too, who's kind of like descended into the shadows for the last couple of episodes, and then just now he's becoming useful again because they need him to get all the equipment for this asteroid heist.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Like the show just went from
what a chess piece.
Yeah, the show just went from get an asteroid to mine it in Earth to Ocean's 11. We're gonna have the biggest heist in the history of mankind. Like out of nowhere, we just do that, and it turns into like a heist scene.
Oh yeah. So, and I still think they're gonna be successful. I don't know that Miles is gonna be able to like come back to the light side or something like that. I mean, he seemed. I don't think he's an evil guy, but he's made some really bad decisions. And he's clearly
White,
made a lot of enemies, man. Like
he's like Walter White
is an enemy of him now. I mean, like he's not gonna like him. He's not gonna like Milosh.
Milosh.
No, I mean you're.
Hold on, but he did shout out Ilya in the episode. He said
he did, right? Like there's this respect that he has for him, but it doesn't matter. You still screwed him over, man. Like you stole his business that he's had since like freaking the moon. and I mean like that's his way of making money, and you took that away from him. Like there's no coming back from that. And then on top of that, now you're in bed with the Koreans. We still don't know what's going to happen with the Koreans and the fact that he can't smuggle this guy's wife to Mars.
By the way, I laughed when the CIA was talking to Eli.
Yeah.
And they were like, hey, yeah, we have found out that the KGB has an asset or two in Happy Valley. And he's like, geez, what's going on? He's like, wait a minute. Are you saying we have assets up there? He's like, Eli, we're 20 feet away from the North Koreans. Like, what do you think? You think we're just not going to... And they have guns up there too, apparently, that don't pierce through the walls, so they're safe. Hopefully,
there. Supposedly.
I don't know how they would have tested those out, but in those same conditions, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's something that's inevitably going to come out in the season. They wouldn't have told us if it wasn't an issue. But side note, I saw like a picture. It was kind of like a meme.
Yeah.
It was saying, we should divide the country in two halves. We should do one half is capitalist and one half is communist, and then just step away for 70 years and come back and then see who's doing better. And then it was a picture of South Korea and North Korea, and like all the lights are on in South Korea and none of the lights are on in North Korea. It's just, pretty night and day. But it's interesting because if the Russians land on the moon first, apparently the North Koreans get to Mars first. That's how this works. So
apparently, yeah. I don't know how that actually plays out, but it did.
Yeah,
that's what happened here. That's what happened here.
All right, Danielle. All right, so there's something interesting with the strike, right? Here, I guess with all strikes, there's very few people who are irreplaceable, like in any venture. Okay, very few workers who are irreplaceable, very few managers, very few leaders who are irreplaceable. These workers are only irreplaceable because it's inconvenient to get new ones up to Mars. Okay,
very inconvenient. Yeah.
However, they pushed Danielle so far that she sent people through the sewage pipes pretty much to the fuel generator, and it backfired because they didn't have the proper training on these machines, so it exploded.
Yeah.
These strike workers only have so much leverage until these people just say like, F you, we're going to just use our own workers and do what we got to do,
Yep.
Which kind of reminds me of this. There's a shopping center in South Miami where there's a dude who refused to sell his home to these developers.
Yeah.
And at a certain point, you're holding out, right, to get the most money you possibly can from the developers who need it to complete their thing. The developers built a whole shopping center around his house. So now the value of his home, it's like the strike workers. You go far enough and now you have zero leverage because nobody's buying your home from you. And now, which sucks altogether. But I think the strike workers who left didn't necessarily do a bad move taking Dev's offer, because at a certain point you do have to compromise. That,
Well, don't forget about the reason why they're there. The whole reason why everybody is on Mars is to make money. Like, that's why they went there. All of these workers, like, they went there for the big paycheck for their family back home. So I totally get it. I mean, I'd probably take the $1 million paycheck too.
Oh, dude, you would have been pouring the sugar with him. You would have cut.
You mean to finish that line?
You would have like, hey, you say, Dev, District 13 over here. I handle the fuel pump 14. You're holding the Domino sugar bag for him, just pouring it on.
God, that's hilarious.
No. But to be honest, like, who's not taking that? Like, the whole purpose of that strike is, hey, we're trying to make more money. This guy's literally going to quadruple our pay and pay us like $1 million. Like,
well, look at the two primary people that didn't take that, right? Like, one was Ed, somebody who has nothing else to live for, which I think you've already mentioned.
Probably has a ton of money.
I'm sure. Yeah, but what does he need money for? Right? Like,
no,
I mean,
he's living in a little
you're on Mars. Like, they're just going to let you starve to death and die.
Kraft's Parmesan cheese for Ed is like the happiest I've ever seen him on this show.
It's true. It's true.
Kelly brings it from Earth, and he's like having an absolute, he's in heaven. So millions of dollars doesn't get you very far on Mars,
No, it doesn't. And then the other one, it's Maya, right?
The blonde girl?
The striker.
The one who talked about the diplomatic immunity thing?
Yes.
No, that's Samantha. That's Samantha.
Thank you. Okay, sorry. She has like a lot to lose at this point, I guess. I mean, if anybody were to be held responsible for the things that happened, it would be her. So like I get her position of not wanting to cross the line either. Like,
she's definitely the fall guy. She's definitely the fall guy here. But she did. But before that, like moments before that, when they heard about the explosion, she said, "This has gone far enough. This has gone far enough. We didn't want, she was gonna end the strike."
Yeah.
And then Dev comes to end the strike, and she's like, "Wait a minute. He just wants to buy us off. I'm like, isn't that what you're striking for? For safety, which they're giving you,
for money.
and for money?
Yeah.
Like, what more are we doing here? Like, what do you want? The ship to be named after you?
I don't know.
I have a feeling like if something goes wrong with her installing the discriminator or whatever she has to do with that machine, Dev is totally gonna just let her take the fall for this.
Oh, I could see that for sure. I mean, wouldn't this be like treason or something? Like, I don't know. Like, you're screwing over America. I mean, other countries too.
I can't see how this is not illegal in every possible way.
It's gotta be.
But the only thing I will say is that technically,
Yeah.
no one owns this damn asteroid. Technically. It's whoever is able to, it's, finders, keepers, winners, losers, weepers.
Losers,
right?
weepers, yeah.
So America doesn't own Goldilocks, and neither does Russia. It's pretty much whoever can get Goldilocks is the one who wins. And Danielle Poole is not cunning enough to know that Dev would do something like put an inside man on the ship who's going to work in his favor and for his agenda rather than for her agenda. She's gonna lose her control. Like after this goes wrong, like let's say Dev gets the asteroid, they will immediately take Danielle down. It'll be like Gore's call. It'll be like Danielle allowed this to happen ever since she took over, and then her legacy will hit. She'll hate Ed forever, and then who knows what's gonna happen with Ed here, because nothing seems to change Ed. Kelly gets there, he doesn't change at all. He has to babysit Alex for like 3 days, and on day 1 he loses the kid. Day 2 he's sending him in an air vent to go steal a box in a room that he doesn't know what hazards are in there.
Yeah, and he had to climb, and then hear things fall. Which again, was look, the way that this show just kills people off.
No,
I was really nervous about the freaking boxes in there. But no, like I don't want to say nothing's changing, Ed. I mean, I do feel like we kind of got like a little heart-to-heart moment with Ed and Alex in episode 8, where he was reading a story from the book to him. Like we did get this little intimate moment.
He's getting closer to him.
Yeah. I mean, this guy's Ed's been isolated for like how many years at this point on Mars? Like he doesn't have a lot to live for on Earth other than Kelly, but now she's on Mars again. But one
could argue that even these illegal activities Ed's doing with Alex is a bonding.
Oh yeah, totally is. Yeah,
because if Ed could fit in that damn vent, he'd go in the vent.
Yep.
So it's one of those things where Ed is very much like he's kind of like just the Kratos from God of War. He's just gonna like send his son into the deep end of the pool and like let him either sink or swim. Like that's it.
Yeah.
Speaking of Alex, apparently his health is recovering pretty swiftly on Mars. Like his lungs work better with this gravity. So he's literally a Martian. He is actually a Martian. And I don't know how he's going to find a suitable, partner for himself. What girl is going to be born on Mars? And, we have to have like a race of Martian people, So is there going to be a girl they bring over from Earth who's going to be, because that's where this show is going, right? They steal the asteroid. This is what happened. This is what has to happen. They steal the asteroid. Okay. Deb becomes the badass, figure, like mythical figure almost. Yeah. And, he is Harry Seldon on Mars. Okay.
Foundation reference for those who haven't watched it.
Yes. Alex grows up. Next season, we do a time skip, like maybe 10 years. He's 17, 18 years old. Mm-hmm. He wants to be an astronaut like his mother and like his grandfather, legendary astronauts. He's like the most famous man outside of Earth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Royalty on Mars, okay? And now they want to go to the next planet. And Alex he's doing, you know what I mean? That's how this show goes. This is what should happen. And then we're attached to Alex. Like I will say I'm more attached to Alex than I am to Kelly almost.
I'm with you on that, because like I just feel like there's a lot of development that could happen there. Like we've already seen Kelly's character develop quite a bit, but I mean Alex is very different, man. Like
it's
first
moldable.
person to be born in space. Like that's pretty cool. Yeah. And he's young. Like we could have a really solid time jump and be carried along with his character. Like, he could
Mhm.
be a really powerful character. If we have a really big time jump, Kelly's going to be old.
And the
Kelly's going
only
to
way,
be like her mom was in the last season.
and I think the only way to have Alex be an interesting character is if they steal this asteroid.
Yeah, it's got to happen. Look, it's got to happen. I wonder if we're going to end up seeing life on Mars, or like life created on Mars. And I don't mean just like people having kids. Like, I mean like
Greenery, trees.
yeah, like, are we gonna superheat the planet, or whatever needs to happen?
Well, I
to
don't believe you
melt some
could
of this
do that.
ice?
I don't think you could do that with people on the planet.
Well, I mean, it's not like it's not like you're making it the planet like 200 degrees or something, right? Like, you're heating up the like the polar caps.
Both. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, like, I feel like you could do that.
Well, was that when did you see the scene where Kelly goes to the Korolev crater?
Yeah.
Right, and it's all white.
Yeah.
Was that snow?
I think it's ice, bro. Like,
it's ice.
I just think it's like hella cold there. Like,
that's how I saw
you gotta,
it.
like, there's probably life somewhere in there, would be my guess. I mean,
well,
like,
if there's ice, there's
something
water.
that we've seen. She's been building, ice and water. She's been building these bots to go find living things. I don't know. I feel like something's got to come of this, right? Like,
she hasn't returned
find something
back.
alive, some other technological advance that we might get from that. I don't know, medicine or whatever. Who knows? And then, I mean, it would be pretty cool to see them like colonize Mars and basically, like, I don't know, have greenery, have Mars contain oxygen in an atmosphere so that you could then go outside of all of these like little huts, homes, whatever the what do you want to call this? Like the base.
No idea.
You could go outside of the base and just walk outside. Like, you don't need suits. Like, that would open up a lot in the world for just building up a civilization and going to mine other resources that it's really difficult to, because you gotta have an oxygen tank, you gotta have a suit on, you only last for so long out there. It might be neat. Like, I could maybe see that being a thing.
Kelly had a face that she discovered something that she was looking for, but she hasn't returned back to Happy Valley, so we don't know what that was. But when she looked at her computer at the crater, she obviously found something that she was looking for, which I believe has to be a living organism, because that's what she was there for. She has those robots that can go into the cave and detect heat signatures, right? That's what she was mentioning. So she must have discovered something on Mars that exists, that is life. So that'll be interesting to see where we go from there. But yeah, I read it the same way as you did. I could have swore that was snow. And I wonder where it goes from there. And I'm hoping next episode is the Goldilocks, heist. And then that episode 10 is simply just for wrapping things up.
Yeah. I mean, they could push it to episode 10 and have that be the heist, and we end with a successful robbery of this asteroid, and then we begin mining it, and then maybe that's kind of where it cuts off. Like, I could kind of see that be the end of the show. Though I would look forward to having the heist be next episode, because we built up to it so much. I mean, Samantha at the end of the episode, F me, she's about to swap out the discriminator. I just think she realizes how difficult it's going to be to swap out the discriminator.
Does she have to swap out the whole thing, or just slide a card in there or something?
No, it's the piece of hardware. It's like one of those audio racks. Like, you got to take the rack off, and you got to swap it out with while there's like 10 people around you. Like, that's going to be. She's going to have to like cause a distraction or something, and be quick. Like,
and they're going to arrest her the moment she does it, pretty much.
Do you think she's going to get caught? Like,
hell yeah, you can't do that and not get caught. Someone's going to be like, wait, stop her. And then discriminator's going to go in there, and then they're going to she's going to have to answer for her crimes, but it's going to be too late. The asteroid's already going to be stuck in Mars orbit, and you got to deal with her. And then Dev's going to give her a high position.
That's crazy.
Because Dev, at the end of the day, if he can do this, like, he has all the cards. If he has this damn asteroid, they have to deal with him. Yeah. So, or they could hijack it back. They could hijack it back and just be like, all right, Dev, you're out of here, and we're taking back control. And too bad. There has to be violence. I think there's going to be a lot of death that occurs in the next 2 episodes, if I had to guess.
So, I mean, everybody here couldn't even, tow the asteroid over towards Mars at the beginning of this episode without having a catastrophe. So I would imagine there's going to be more death. There actually hasn't been that much in this season. I think only 3 people have died.
2 people on the
At the beginning,
asteroid.
yeah, and then the one in the like the thing that blew up on Mars when they're
Yes,
trying to
one person died there.
bypass. Yeah, so that's 3 people. I don't think anybody else has. Oh no. Svetlana, the guy that she killed. So that's 4 people.
4 people.
Yeah,
Did he die?
I think he died.
I don't think he died.
I don't know. Maybe we didn't find out if he died. I mean, I know
I don't.
she was sent back to Russia, but
I don't believe he died. If I had to guess, but I could be wrong. And there have been all the critics in the audience be like, "Oh, this guys can do a little bit of research before they, hit record, right? You can't even find out if a character's dead or not."
I'm thinking back on
Sorry,
like 6 episodes. Come
there's a
on.
million more characters here than a Shakespeare play in this damn series. Okay, so we end up with Margo finding out about Irina being the handler. Aleda wants to keep strictly business with Margo. We don't know what's going to happen with Margo, so there's just a big question mark about her fate and whether she ever returns back to Russia.
Yeah.
We got the nations of America and pretty much the whole M7 alliance that is trying to bring Goldilocks to Earth. We have Dev trying to thwart that plan. Sam in position to begin the operation, unless that was a practice run and she's going to go back up there on another episode. But I believe that was the operation beginning. At least that's what it felt like to me.
It felt like it was the operation. Like it felt like we're there.
Yeah.
Like we're about to see this thing go down.
Kelly is on her way back from Korolev crater, hopefully with some readings of life on Mars, which would really be interesting. That would be just another interesting thread to end the. That'll probably be something that if they do the whole Goldilocks heist next episode, Kelly comes back to the ship in episode 10 and says, "Forget the asteroid. There's life on Mars," and then end of season or something like that.
I love the voice. Great.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's I'm hyped. I'm hyped for episode 9. I will say that.
Same. I'm happy that it's coming soon. We got a few more days. I also can't believe that this is going to be the last episode of the year. I'm feeling kind of nostalgic for that. It's just like what crazy. It's a whole nother year under our belts doing this. It's nuts.
A whole another year of doing this. A whole lot more people listening these days. We're about to cross 300,000 plays on Spotify any day now. And a lot more on Apple. Even though I think a lot of people are leaving Apple to Spotify, which, hey, I 100% support your decisions to do that because Spotify has treated us very well. But we're seeing a lot of migration over from Apple to Spotify, it seems, in the numbers. And thank you all for tuning in. Zach, how'd you enjoy the holiday season? We haven't really even talked about what was done, what wasn't done.
It's been great. You've
been taking some time off a little bit, no? You got a little bit of R&R?
Been taking some time off, spending some time with the baby, which has been fun. My wife's sister's in town, so our baby's hanging out with their baby. So it's been interesting, but it's been fun, restful. Got to watch a decent amount of television, though it was mostly just holiday movies. So you got the typical like Home Alone, and I actually haven't watched Die Hard. I think I'm in the boat that Die Hard isn't really a Christmas movie. It's just a great all around movie.
Yeah, it's a good movie. It's not my favorite, but it's a classic.
It's a classic. How about you?
Very chill, very chill. New niece in the family. Hung out with some family, played some golf. Celebrated a few birthdays.
Nice.
And mainly just been planning for 2024, and not really taking a vacation this time of the year. But just kind of taking it a little slower. And that's pretty much it. I'm looking forward to 24. And we should have a good number of shows. I mean, we covered about 7 shows this year on Story Archives.
Yep.
And we're going to be doing a lot more. We're going to be thinking about changing our approach to how we cover shows in 2024 for the sake of trying to cover more and to just kind of gauge audience interest, right? So for shows that we're interested in the future, if you made it this far in the episode, we're probably going to approach, unless it's a show that we are wholly excited for, that we absolutely want to do episodically, we're probably going to be treating it with a pilot, then a mid-season, and a finale if it carries us through. But we're going to mainly let the audience dictate in some cases, not in every case, because that's not really the vibe here in terms of, like, we talk about what we want to talk about, and those who like it, hopefully we attract those, and maybe you're open-minded to like the shows that we're watching. But if we see a show that we did a couple episodes and it's not really clicking with the audience and we don't really like it, we might just move on and not cover it. Or we may do something where we do finish the season, but we're not going to do it episodically, and we may just do a pilot episode or a premiere episode and a finale episode, and a mid-season maybe. But that's kind of the way we're gauging it, so that we can take in more TV shows and go from there. But we're going to be rounding out For All Mankind and Monarch in the next 2 weeks. And then we'll be jumping into Masters of the Air, I think it's called, on Apple TV, with a star-studded cast. Austin Butler's in that one. A bunch of really famous actors are in there. I think freaking Jude Law's son is in Masters of the Air. There's a whole lot of actors that are in. Let me see, Masters of the Air. It's based on. It's pretty much following up Band of Brothers. It's from Spielberg's company, I believe.
And the Pacific.
And the Pacific, freaking huge budget, anywhere like from 250 to 300 million they spent on this show. Based on the novel Masters of the Air, America's Bomber Boys Who Fought the Air War Against Nazi Germany. Directed by a freaking star, Cary Joji Fukunaga, who's an animal. He's just a beast. Spielberg actually has, I think his son is in this.
It's from Spielberg and Tom Hanks. Don't forget.
Yeah. Sawyer Spielberg is in the show. Who's his father's Steven Spielberg. Barry Keoghan's in this, who's amazing. He was nominated for an Oscar for Banshees of Inisherin, I believe.
Oh, nice.
And he was in a movie called Saltburn that I haven't watched, which seems like a Talented Mr. Ripley ripoff. That starred Matt Damon and Jude Law. Coincidentally enough, because Jude Law's son is in Master of the Air, but that movie just came out like last month. I haven't checked it out. It kind of looks like an acid dream, that movie, if you watch the trailer. This kind of looks really weird. But yeah, that's pretty much it. We got Master of the Air coming up. I'm doing Hard Knocks every Tuesday, pretty much. And that will be going on as long as the Dolphins are in the playoffs, which if they make it to the Super Bowl and win, it'll go down as the greatest sports documentary of all time. Biased, a little biased, but I don't think there's ever been a documentary just happening coincidentally at the same time as a team going to the championship and winning it, other than maybe Last Dance, the Michael Jordan Last Dance documentary. But even that, I don't believe had all access to them when they were in the finals. So yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't comment on that one. I don't follow sports that closely.
Hey, but you've been trying lately. I've seen an uptick in your football interest lately.
The baby likes football for some reason. I don't know what's going on with her, but yeah.
Does she really? How does she act when football's on TV?
Oh, she's just engaged. She's
really
just like, oh yeah, she likes watching it. I think she likes the bright colors and motion and all that good stuff.
Okay.
But
yeah. Don't take this away from her.
She likes a few things. She loves Hallmark.
Okay.
So she watches
like
Hallmark movies all the time. Exactly. And then
I should have messed with the audience. Okay, so she's like her father.
Yeah, no. I mean, I watch it because it's on, but I mean, what am I gonna do? Turn it off?
Women in Hallmark, it's like kryptonite. Like,
it's because it's predictable, right? Like every movie's the same.
Yeah.
Right. Like every movie ends the same with Hallmark, right? But no, she likes Hallmark. She likes football for some reason. Weird combo, but if it's on, she's just chill. Like she'll be calmer a bit longer than normal. She's watching something else.
I'd be careful how loud you say that in your house about Hallmark, because that might be fighting words for you, and just I don't want to see any negative things happen over there. So.
Oh man, all good.
All right, let's do some categories for these episodes and round it out, and we'll see y'all in the new year.
Let's do it. So let's start with episode 7. Favorite character.
Let's just do 7 and 8. All
right. We can do 7 and 8.
I think it's the same for both.
Let's say it on 1. Ready?
Okay.
Or I guess on 0. On 0, because I gotta say 1.
Okay. All
right. 3, 2, 1. Ed Baldwin.
I was gonna say. I thought you were gonna say 0. My bad.
No, I was gonna say on 0. Right.
I was gonna say Dev. I said Dev. Dev for sure. From episode 7.
Dev was a good one. I feel like it's been a while since I loved Ed. So.
I loved Ed's face at the end of 7, where it's Da, 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 da. And did you see that mischievous Ed Baldwin face like that? Yeah. Kind of looks like evil Jack Nicholson when he has that face looking down like that.
Yeah. Getting hyped up. Oh, that was great. All right. Favorite scene?
This is the outro with Dev. It's the ending of the strike with Dev, and then it's
the line.
How would you like to help me steal an asteroid?
Yeah.
And the DMX hit. That was amazing, dude.
Yeah. That was solid. I liked the whole just ending the strike thing. Like that was a nice move.
Yeah.
How about favorite line? I feel like I've got one from
you're out of luck
each
there,
episode,
pal.
maybe.
You're out of luck. I am not writing favorite lines unless they stick out to me. So nothing stuck out to me.
There was the one that Dev said to Miles where he was like, "You want to be a millionaire or you want to be a billionaire?"
Yeah, I wrote down one from Dev too, but it's what he says to Ed, where he says, "Be yourself, share your passion," when he talks about how to relate to Alex. So
yeah,
I thought that was pretty nice. Honestly, I kind of wrote that down. I was like, whenever I have kids, like I feel like that's actually legit good advice. Like if you share your passion of who you are and don't fake it, like your kids will be most interested in that version of yourself rather than some fake version you're trying to be.
Yeah, that's a very deep line.
Yeah, I thought it was good.
I get it. It is a good one. Yeah. The other one I would pick, honestly, was just I think it's from your favorite scene.
Oh, never mind.
Which was ending the episode of episode 7, which is you want to steal an asteroid with me?
Yeah, that was great.
That was just epic. But yeah,
Dev's had almost every epic scene this season so far.
He's been solid this season.
When Kelly comes into his office and says, "I'm sorry, Dev, but I can't leave my son behind," and freaking Dev is just crying. He's just crying with the rain coming down, and he's saying, "Kelly, I'd be happy to have your son." I was like, "Damn, bro, this guy's gonna make me cry over here."
No, he's been great this season. But
yeah, 100%.
Them's the categories.
That's it. All right, man. Well, until next time, y'all, we'll see you for Monarch, our doubleheader of Monarch, probably Wednesday, if I had to guess, and then we'll be back to single episodes, unless we change our mind and then just end the whole season with a doubleheader. But I feel like episode 9 might be so good that we have to just do it for all mankind. Episode 9. So
yeah.
Well, thank you for listening to this episode of For All Mankind by Story Archives. You can find this podcast anywhere you find podcasts, Apple and Spotify podcasts primarily. You can visit us on YouTube at Soapbox Podcast Network. You can visit our website at soapbox.house. Email us at contact@soapbox.house. And we do have a link in the description below for our newsletter. Hope to see you there.
Love it. Make sure, as always, guys, like the show, subscribe. It always helps us. And help us keep keep on hitting us with those reviews. I like reading the good ones.
Same. Though I do get a chuckle from the bad ones. I'm just like, wow, you petty person.
But thank you all. Until next time.